Hello and welcome to this episode of Creating with Howcraft. My name is Denise Yesbach-Moore with howcraftcollection.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create my harvest cuff bracelet. The tools and supplies you will need to create this bracelet are round nose pliers, chain nose pliers, wire cutters, a bracelet mandrel. These are Euro punch pliers. It is round 1.80 millimeters. It's to punch a hole at the end of the component. A chasing hammer, a small bench block, an emery board. You will also need a variety of stone beads from howcraftcollection.com, our feather pendant that can be found on howcraftcollection.com, 18 gauge copper or bronze tone wire, head pins, 4 millimeter jump rings, an 8 millimeter jump ring, a 12 millimeter jump ring, and here we go. We are going to start by forming the pendant around the bracelet mandrel so it fits around our wrist. 5, 6, I'm going to move down 6, and I'm going to just take my thumbs and I'm just bending the component around the mandrel. Then I'm going to come back in and I'm gently kind of shaping it, moving it down. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to fit it on my wrist, and I don't like the way the side's sticking up. So I'm just going to gently grab my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to bend it. I'm going to put it back on my wrist. Let's do it on this side too. We're going to grab our chain nose pliers, and we're going to bend and put it on our wrist. And that looks pretty good. We need to punch a little hole right here so that we can connect the jump rings on this side. That is where the Euro punch tool comes in handy. We're just going to come right over here, go to the center, and we're going to push down, slide it out, and there we have our hole. We're going to come back in and create this wire wrap chain. So we're going to form a partial wrap loop to connect to this end of the feather connector. And we want the loop to be large. So if you start your loop here, the loops are going to be smaller. The further you move up, the bigger the loop. So we're going to bend the wire back, move the pliers up, bend the wire towards you, move the pliers to the side, bend the wire back, and I like to line it up. And then we're going to take it off the round nose pliers, and we are going to open that loop and slide it on. And then I'm just gently pushing those wires together, and I'm switching hands. And we're going to start to wrap, and we're going to wrap 1, 2, 3. We're going to take it off. We're going to come back in, trim that little end, and then we're gently going to tap it down. Now we're going to pick up our green dyed jasper tube, and we're just stringing that down. We're going to grab our round nose pliers, and we're going to make another wrapped loop. So we're going to bend the wire down, move the pliers up, bend the wire towards you, move the pliers to the side, bend the wire back, and then we're going to switch hands, and we are going to wrap 1, 2, 3. Come back in, trim that little end. I'm going to flatten out my loop, tap that down so that there is no sharp edges. Now we are going to create our second wire wrapped loop. So we're going to form a partial loop to connect to the previous loop. So we're going to go down, we're going to bend the wire back, move the pliers up, bend the wire towards you, move the pliers to the side, bend the wire back. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to open it, attach it to the previous loop. And now I'm just coming back in and I'm just kind of squishing it down. Switching hands. And now we're going to wrap 1, 2, 3. Flip it around. Trim off that little end. Tap that down, and we can even come in and straighten out our loop. Now we're going to come in and grab one of our green jasper tubes, and we're going to string that down. Grab our round nose pliers and form a wrapped loop. Bend the wire back. Move the pliers up, bend the wire towards you, move the pliers to the side, bend the wire back, and now we're switching hands, and we are going to wrap 1, 2, 3, we're going to trim off that little end, straighten our loop, tap the wire down. You could probably use, let's see, 18 gauge, 20 gauge, 22 gauge, 24 gauge I think is getting a little too small because the wire will bend when you wear the bracelet. So I picked 18 gauge today because I thought it would be easier for you to see the wraps. Next, we're going to create our own little beaded clasp. And we do that by creating a simple loop on the end. So I cut about a 2.5 inch length of 18 gauge wire. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go right about there. And I'm just going to bend the wire. And now I'm going to form a simple loop by rolling the wire towards me. And there is our simple loop. Now I'm going to grab this luster coated aqua tube. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to bend that wire down. And now what we want to do is go all the way to the end. we're just moving the wire towards us and make a slight bend there. Now we're going to come back in. And we're going to trim it. And then grab our round nose pliers and make a slight bend. You can even bring it up more. Move this out a little bit. And then I'm just going to straighten it. And there is our little clasp. This end, if it's a little sharp, you can come back in with your emery board and just gently file the end. To make sure our clasp is nice and strong, we're going to gently hammer the end. So I'm going to grab my chasing hammer and I'm going to set it right on the edge of the bench block. And I'm just going to tap it. Tapping it hardens the wire. And then we're going to flip it over. And we are going to tap the other side. We are now going to attach the clasp. This is how you open a simple loop. You just move it to the side, come in, attach, and close the loop. We are now going to attach our jump rings to the little hole we created at the beginning. So I picked up an 8mm jump ring. This is how you open and close a jump ring. You never pull it apart. We're going to grab our 12mm jump ring, come over to the little hole, connect it, and close the jump ring. Now we are going to form our little dangles. I've already created some of the dangles. So I'm grabbing a head pin and our green dyed jasper tube. I strung it down. I'm bending the wire, coming back in with the wire cutters. I'm just trimming that little end off, and we're going to form a simple loop. And we are just rolling the wire towards us to form our simple loop. Now we're going to attach our dangles to the jump rings. You create all of your dangles the same way we created the jasper tube dangle. So we're just going to come in, we're going to open our loop, come over to the 8mm jump ring, attach, close the loop. Now this is a blue quartz lentil. We're going to open the loop, come over to the 8mm jump ring, close the loop. This is an orange dyed dolomite rectangle. We're going to open that loop, and we are going to attach this one to the 12mm jump ring, and we are going to close the loop. We are now going to connect our dangles to this side of the bracelet. Since this is so thick, I found it easier to use 4mm jump rings. So we're going to grab our first 4mm jump ring, and we're going to open it. This is an orange dyed dolomite faceted round. We're going to come over, attach it, and close the loop. Let's grab our aqua coated cube, attach it, come over, attach, and close the jump ring. And we have one more. Pick up this jump ring. We're going to open that jump ring. Grab our blue quartz lentil. Attach it. And close the jump ring. A complete list of the jewelry making supplies and beads, along with printable PDF instructions, can be found on howcraftcollection.com. Search Harvest Cuff Bracelet. And there you have it, how to create my Harvest Cuff Bracelet. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe at Howcraft USA. Follow us on Instagram at Howcraft Collection Beads. Be sure to visit howcraftcollection.com for more inspirational DIY projects and for all your jewelry making needs. New beads are added weekly, and each week howcraftcollection.com features a fabulous new sale. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.